Okay, welcome back. Nyata, how do you say good morning in your language?
Bolachi.
Is it?
Which of the languages? Igbo, Efik, or Yako?
Okay, so you want to tell us now about all of the languages?
Multilingual, darling.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So language is an important ingredient when it comes to communication. Depending on who your audience is, your choice of language and delivery could either make or mar the message or information you're trying to pass across. Realizing this, the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, is set to launch BBC Igbo and Yoruba
Service.
Yes, service. And this is coming on the heels of last year's launch of BBC Pidgin service in West and Central Africa. So to take us through the thoughts behind these moves, we have in the studio the BBC Nigeria editorial lead, Peter Okoche.
Hi, thanks for having me on your program.
Okay, so how you did?
I do, but the day is like lot.
Oh,
Oh, you thought he's forgotten.
maybe he has. So, what's with BBC and the Nigerian languages?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, Nigeria is a very important audience for the BBC. The BBC has about a weekly audience of about 340 odd million every week. Nigeria accounts for 30% of that. You know, about 36 million Nigerians tune into the BBC across all platforms every week. So the BBC and Nigeria, long partnership, are very important. Then when you look at the Nigerian population, you know, estimates say we're going to about 350 million by the year 2050. A large swathe of this population is going to be under the age of 35. The BBC wants to reach out to them. Not everybody speaks English. At least 75 million Nigerians speak Pidgin. Then there are the Igbo speakers and the Yoruba speakers that that the BBC wants to reach out to and talk to and hear from. Which is what has, you know, made us decide to.
I didn't know that there's been the BBC House of Service for a long time.
60 years.
60
years. Yes, and
yeah.
it's actually one of the most successful services, language services at the BBC. It does very, very well.
So bringing in the Igbo and the Yoruba now is to kind of like expand the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. I want to try and replicate the successes of BBC House of Service. And for a long time, you know, people have been asking us, why only BBC House? Well, I think we've now answered the question. There's now BBC Igbo and BBC Yoruba. I think, for me, one of the most interesting things in this new wave of journalism, you know, original journalism, is being able to tell one's story in one's own language to the rest of the world. You know, and these are very important language services. You know, if you ask people outside, how many Nigerians do you know that speak Yoruba? They'll probably say Professor Wole Soyinka because the Nobel laureate and all that. But there's so many millions of people across southwestern Nigeria, you know, Benin Republic, Togo, who speak the language. You know, and then of course there are those in the diaspora as well. Same with Igbo. So we want to reach out to all these people. We want them to come and tell us their stories. You know, we're now seizing the narrative from foreign journalists. You know, it's now our story and it's our time to tell it.
And so let's talk about the programming content. What will it be like?
So for the time being, you know, I mean, research has showed us that most people now consume their news via mobile devices. You know, so for now we're kicking off with a website for both of them. So there's bbc.com/Igbo, bbc.com/Yoruba. And then they have pages on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And hopefully down the line, you know, we'll go into more traditional broadcast services. But for now, they'll all be online services.
Okay, so don't you think it's targeting the elite? What happens to the rural areas?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you know, everything is moving digitally. You know, we are now becoming the relics. Those of us who work in TV and in radio, we're now becoming relics, you know. So I think it's important for us to start with the new direction things are going towards. And then once we've established that, we can come back and say, okay, let's look at how we can. I mean, we're about to open new radio studios and TV studios here in Lagos as well. So we're not forgetting those completely, but we just needed to start somewhere, and we decided to start digitally.
But then there are those who are concerned that you're like barging into the Nigerian system. What's your take?
I mean, I think those fears are pretty much unfounded. You know, we're not here to compete with anybody. We're here to complement everybody who's already doing a great job. We've got a further reach than most, you know, so we're helping to, whatever stories they bring to us, we're helping to spread it to the rest of the world. I know people will hear, oh, the BBC is in town, so ooh, let's be scared, but that's not it. You know, we want to partner with, you know, as many broadcast organizations in Nigeria as possible. You know, we can't work in isolation from other people. For instance, the Igbo and Yoruba services, they've got a 1-minute bulletin. It's not exactly news, but it's just, you know, stories about things that are happening across the world. 1-minute bulletin that they run twice a day. And these bulletins are being placed on several of our partner stations, you know, across the various regions where they'll be operating. And, you know, without trying to let the cat out of the bag, I know you guys also realize that we're trying to go into partnership with many other people, you know, so we're not working in isolation. We're not here to compete with anybody. We're just here to, like I said, complement people.
So let's go back again to that content you were talking about. So you have 1 minute news bulletin, news around. How would that news be delivered? Would it be like?
Well, I mean, so everybody who works in the Igbo service, for instance, is an Igbo person. Everybody who works in the Yoruba service is a Yoruba person. So they'll be delivering it in their own languages. You know, I don't speak either of the languages, so I can't even read them. Then, you know, we'll have video content online as well. I mean, for instance, like you said, we're launching on Monday. We've got an exclusive interview for the Igbo service with the wife of Nnamdi Kanu, you know, talking about what she knows about the whereabouts of her husband. On the Yoruba service, we've got an exclusive interview. I say exclusive with Professor Wole Soyinka because it's one of the few interviews he's ever given in Yoruba. You know, so it's really exciting. He's talking about Nigeria and, you know, what's happening and the way forward. And it's a very interesting listen. So we're going to have, you know, really niche stories like those, you know, that will tell the stories of our region, the stories that are important to the regions. And our research has also showed us that people in these regions are interested in education, interested in agriculture, culture, traditional values, women in politics, women in business, women, you know, the great things that women do that we tend to have neglected in the past. We're hoping to bring to the fore via these two services now.